Hello, Providence girls. We are now going to transition from the medieval, then the Renaissance period, into the Baroque period. There's a major change that happens in the Baroque period where when you read music, it's going to look normal, like how we are accustomed to seeing it. But in the Baroque, medieval, going towards the Renaissance, which is kind of like a transition period where things won't completely change as yet. There's a transition to how music was written, and as well as they dissolve the use of modes. Modes were used up to the Renaissance period. Okay, now what we know as a major scale uses 7 notes, starting from C to C. I call it 7 notes because the 8th note is the same thing as the first notes, and these are all the notes that the monks use to write music. So starting from C to C, we call that the Ionian mode. Notice that it sounds more or less like the major scale. Now, if I start on D, but still not using the black notes, it is called the Dorian mode. And if I start from E to E, not using any black notes, it's called the Phrygian mode. And if I started on F, it's a Lydian mode. And if I started on G, it's a Mixolydian mode. And if I started on A, it sounds like the Aeolian mode. And if I started on B, it's called the Hypophagian mode. Now, what happened when it reached the Baroque period? They simply say, well, it's going to either sound like major or minor. Some of these modes actually sound major when you put a tune to it, and some of them sound minor when you put a tune to it. So therefore, C major, if I played Merell Lamb, it sounds majory. If I did the Dorian mode, it's going to sound minory. That's just transposing the notes up one tone. And if I started on E, that's the Phrygian mode, it's going to sound minory again. But when I go to F, which is, notice, is subdominant of C, it starts to sound back major again. And if I start on G, it's going to sound major again. When I go to A, it's going to sound minor. Notice that A is the relative minor of C. So it's going to sound minor. And if I start on B, it's going to sound minor too. Alright, and it's minorish. So what happened when it reached the Baroque period and they started to use the black notes, the 12 keys, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Notice the 12 keys before it started to go to C. They decided that since some of the keys are sounding like major and some of the keys are sounding like minor, well then let's just make it either major or minor using key signatures. Okay, now let's go back to the original monk music, and now we have this tune here. We proclaim your death, O Lord, and profess your resurrection until you come again. That is a very ye old music, one of the old monks' music, and this is what music used to look like. Notice this is a C clef. It looks rather funny. Alright, it's not notes, but that is what the clef is, and that represents your C. And so these things here weren't called notes, they were called neumes. This is not a bar. Alright, this is just where we have the first comma to the tune. Notice there's no time signature. So time signatures weren't set in stone. You could use your own, you had your option to use any rhythm you would like, and dwell on certain words, usually dwell on the more important words, and that is how the notes were written. Another important feature is that when you see notes on top of each other, that wasn't a chord. The establishments of chords where the notes were vertical weren't invented as yet. It just means in this profess has two syllables to make that one note, right? And it looks kind of like a chord, but it's not really a chord, all right? And you see the double line saying that the tune is finished. So if this is C, our first note, if it goes C, C, B, A, is actually A. And A is like a relative minor, or we said one of the modes that it was, I believe it was the Aeolian mode. That is the minor key, your relative minor key. So this is going to sound minory because it starts on A and finishes on A. It sounds like this. Okay. No, let's just look at the notes. Alright, so we proclaim your death, O Lord, and profess your resurrection until you come again. And that's how notes were written, and notes were, they spread their music using this. Notice that a staff had only 4 lines, all right, and this is your C clef, and there weren't any chords. There weren't much use of harmony or anything like that. In fact, instruments were there. We had instruments. Most of them were rhythmic instruments. They might have pung a little gong or something like that. But musical instruments eventually developed from the medieval to the Renaissance period. The instruments were developed, and they started to realize, hey, go back to this. It didn't only have 8 notes. It had 12 notes. And so on. Now, because of that, they could actually change key. Notice that with this, there's no key signature. So there's no way to change key. So if you go back to the keyboard, it's like this. Notice I can change key with this. This is Merrill Lamb in C. I can change to C sharp, D. I could go to E flat, E. And notice I could play the exact same tune in different keys because of the extra notes that you see, these extra 5 notes that were put in. Alright, that was a feature that could not happen before. And so what happened, they gradually changed to major and minor keys, because since the modes, some modes sound minor, some modes sound major. And when you put notes to it and you put tunes to it, it became either doing it in major or either doing it in minor. Now we're going on to a piece of Baroque music, something very familiar in that time. It's called a fugue. And Bach, Johann Sebastian Bach, this is his second book, book 2. It's called the Well-Tempered Clavichord, or clavier. It's music for the keyboard. And what he demonstrated, he did, this is fugue number 15, and he did several tunes using different keys. This one is in G, alright, and is actually in G major. Notice that we have a time signature now. So when we reach the Baroque period, time signatures were really much into music. It is now important to have a time signature. All right, and notice there are different ranges. This is the tune in the soprano range. This is the tune now in the alto range. That's what makes the fugue, by the way. A fugue is taking a tune and put it is similar to a round, but not exactly a round, in that it doesn't repeat itself exactly over and over again. There are times when it's going to modulate and change key and so on, and you will hear the tune being played over and over again in interesting ways. So it's basically one simple tune being done in different ways. As I said, notice that how there is no accompaniment for a while. This is establishing the tune, and then afterwards you put the tune in the alto. That's the alto range, and then he puts a little accompaniment over it, and then afterwards he puts the tune in the bass, or tenor, between the bass and like a baritone range, and then afterwards he started to play with the tune. Notice that the use of sharps are now in. Obviously, in the medieval era, there wasn't any need for sharps. There's a key signature now, and now there are sharps where the key is actually modulated. Look at G sharp here and so on. So the tune is going to be modulated in different keys, and it makes the tune interesting. Even though he's actually doing the tune over and over again, it's going to sound very interesting. So I'm going to try and play this for you and demonstrate. Let's demonstrate looking at the notes. So this is the main tune. Sorry. F sharp. Now the tune goes to the bass. Right? So notice they're doing the same tune, starting from the soprano, then to the alto, then to the bass. Now what we also notice that is very special about the Baroque period are these little signs. These are ornaments or decorations. Now, Baroque period, the word Baroque actually means ornamented. And in this way, all the music had ornaments in it. Even when they sang, you heard ornaments. Notice you see a use of trills and so on. This is what makes it quite interesting, and decorations. Alright, this is a mordaunt, which is a different type of decoration. So I will go through a lesson with you, all the different ornaments that was very special and used a lot in the Baroque era. This is a demi-semi-quaver, alright? And even though it's supposed to be done very quickly, you don't really, the timing, now notice it's another feature, they actually give a performance direction which gives you the timing, alright? So you have to learn the different, the Italian terms, alright? Now, Bach was German, but still, they use the Italian terms because they didn't forget where the written music came from. It came from the Italian monks, so it was done. So allegretto means a bit lively, but not too fast. This is what it really means, right? A bit lively, but not too fast. And you can interpret it anyhow, even though there's a pulse, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, right? Right? That's the kind of time. So music had more of a pulse in this period, Sometimes you call it the basso continuo, which is the pulse in the music. Now I'll just try and play the entire thing. I hope I don't make too much mistakes. This is just the end of the lesson. All right. Now, now I just wanted to show you the trill part. Okay, sorry, making a lot of mistakes, but basically that is what the music from the Baroque period sounds like, and I could probably send you a link, but it doesn't. If I send you a link for this, you'll see people showing off and playing this extremely fast. It really doesn't have to go that fast. Everybody has their own, but basically it has what they call it, a definite pulse, which is very important in that period of time. Also, you'll find from moving from the medieval time, when the monks did it, it was just for the Lord. It's more or less church music, and everything was church music. Then what happens in the Renaissance period, it wasn't just for the Lord, it was for royalty, and royalty had to learn how to play music, and many, what do you call it, these knights of shining armor, they used to sing their own songs, bigging up themselves for their own songs and so on, and it wasn't really for money. But when we reached the Baroque period, it was definitely a job. You could get a big job playing or singing in a choir, and only men were allowed to work. So if there were soprano parts, they did not allow women to sing it, because women weren't allowed to work. In the 16th century, women were supposed to stay home and mind children, and they weren't allowed to work. And so men who used to sing high, they used to have castrati singers. They used to, for want of a better word, castrate themselves so that they continue making money for their family. So if you were a big singer at before your puberty, in order for you to continue making money for your family, they used to castrate you, or you get yourself castrated so you could continue singing and making money. Bach, the same guy, Johann Sebastian Bach, he was not only an innovator for the 12 tones and the use of the major and the minor scale, he also did something different. He used to make his wife sing in the choir, and I do not know if she actually got money for it, but it introduced the fact, hey, women could sing the soprano part. You don't have to have a castrated man singing the what do you call it, the soprano part all the time. And so he didn't have to hire anybody to sing the soprano. He used to let his wife do it, and that kind of opened the door basically, because many other great musicians, their wives used to help play the piano, sing and do things, and really and truly they were wives, and I don't know if they were taking away the work from a man because they were able to do the job, but because of that he allowed the women to do the musical parts. Okay, so that's the movement from the medieval, which is just the beginning of the writing of music, to the 16th century, all right, where music, the written form of music was now established. The 12 tones were well established, and the beginning of the use of women and to make money, right, supposed to sing and to perform in a professional manner, that men didn't only have to do it. And yes, there were women performers, but women performers weren't considered, they were considered prostitutes and stuff like that, because you know what I mean. That was the place for women who had to work. That was the only work that a woman could have done. So all of those parts is part of the history, and now I will send you work. This is just an introduction, so I hope all of you are well, and I'll send you work about this new period, which is the Baroque period. Thank you.